was ordained as a United Methodist pastor in 1977, and for more than 40 years now, I have served in one way or another in full-time ministry as a United Methodist clergy person. I was, quite frankly, really concerned, even frustrated, that our churches, again, were very inward-focused. I led an initiative to open what is and continues to be known as the United Methodist Free Store on Parsons Avenue. One of the things that we heard over and over again from people who were shopping in the free store, that people wanted a safe, decent place to live. People had this appropriate goal and dream of believing that they shouldn't have to be homeless in a camp down by the Scioto River or in and out of a shelter. They shouldn't be at the whim of a slum landlord that, quite frankly, was charging rent but wouldn't even necessarily have running water or heat. And so we got started in doing our first house as a result of a sermon that I preached on a Sunday morning. 2/3 of the people in the church where I pastor have incomes below the poverty level. So we had the houses, we had people that wanted to go to work, and we had people that wanted a better place to live. And so in the sermon, it's easy to preach, it's harder to do, that we said, well, why don't we just bring those things together and see what happens? Well, there happened to be a person in the congregation that day, and he came up to me afterwards and asked me if I was serious. Is this what, did we really want to do it, or was I just talking about it? And I told him, well, yeah, I'm serious. We would love to try. And it turned out he owned a vacant duplex about 3 blocks from here. And he was wealthy enough that he said, well, I'll just turn it over to you. I'll give you the money to buy the materials, and you can hire anybody from your community if you want. And we just announced in this first round of people who shopped in the free store and came to the church, either place, that we were going to hire 8 or 9 folks, and they'd be a construction crew. And if you had construction skills, show up. There were, if I remember right, 9 guys that showed up, and every one of them, although they were out of work, they were skilled craftsmen in their own imagination. And so we really were bad at this. I mean, this is not being self-deprecating. We really weren't good. And then the low ebb point was that Mark called me one day to say that the city inspector had shown up, and we hadn't pulled permits, because we were just, quite frankly, too ignorant to know that we really had to, or at least thought we could get away with it. I looked at the city inspector in the eye and said, no, we didn't have any permits, but I didn't think he understood the concept of the separation of church and state. That the state did things like permit, we were a church, and we didn't, and I got a big red sticker as a reward. It's basically saying we couldn't enter the premises anymore. We were shut down. So we did finally finish it, and we were kindergarten happy, so we did a ribbon cutting, invited all the media to come. One TV station did show up, and it ran for about 20 seconds at the 11 o'clock news. But somebody who was watching that was a guy named Phil Downing, who worked for the Enterprise, and called me afterwards and asked, were we serious about wanting to do affordable housing on the south side of Columbus? And we said, yeah, we're serious. We're just doing the best we can. With the help of Phil Downing and others, we were able to become a community housing development organization, or CHODO. We were approached by Angela Mingo and other leaders at Nationwide Children's Hospital saying they wanted to have more impact in the community. They were envisioning a whole initiative that they were calling Healthy Neighborhoods, Healthy Families, that would have focus areas in housing, in employment, neighborhood safety, education for children, and helping adults in the community go back to work. When you add it all up, in terms of what we've completed at the end of 2017, it's a little over $60 million worth of affordable housing in these various configurations. And we'll do close to, or about, an additional $15 million worth of housing in 2018. So we've come a long way with the help from a lot of folks, and that's included advice and counsel at various points from the leadership at Homeport.